Okay, if you have eye bags or puffy under eyes, your concealer might be making it look way worse. And you're like, I don't understand. What do I do? Like, I don't know how to fix this. And it's driving me crazy. So we're going to be specifically addressing that today. Eye bags or puffy under eyes. If your under eyes look like this photo right here, okay? I think eye bags can be kind of like interpreted in different ways. We are not talking about sunken under eyes. I have lots of content on my channel because I struggle with sunken under eyes and dark circles. So if you want an updated video about how to deal with that, let me know. Today we're doing this one. Let's do it. So the worst thing that you can do when you have your under eye anatomy looks like this is to just apply one shade from the lower lash line and down, thinking that it's going to do anything. It's not going to do anything. Something that's really important to remember about makeup, it's all about structure, okay? Lights and darks. So you might be a less advanced makeup wearer, maybe an everyday makeup wearer who is dealing with this problem. You have to understand a little bit about contouring, okay? And I know that can be very, very intimidating, and you might think like, I don't want to have to contour my face. Like, I don't want to do all these things. I just want a little bit of bronzer and maybe some blush and a little, I don't know, lip gloss, and I want to be out the door. If you're trying to correct structural things within your anatomy, you gotta understand your lights and darks, okay? So if we take this image as an example, if you squint, you can really see, and you focus on that under eye area. So that tiny little like kind of kidney bean shape underneath her eye, right in the very center of that is the lightest part. You can see it's quite white and it comes forward a lot. That's because that area is coming forward in space and the light is hitting it, which makes it look even more rounded, okay? So one of the things that you can do rather than using one concealer is you want to use, I would say at least two, and you want to focus a slightly darker concealer right in that center of the under eye, which might sound kind of scary because I think under eyes, we sort of have this association with like, oh, I don't want darkness under my under eyes. And one of the reasons that I conceal is to like prevent that darkness. But if you're strategic with the value of your concealer, meaning how light or dark it is, you can actually correct the effect that this is creating. So when we think about the anatomy, we're thinking mostly about like how the light is hitting it and what it's highlighting. So like I said, in the center of her under eye, that little area is being highlighted right in the center, which really makes it kind of like look a little bit more bulbous and like it's coming forward. So rather than using one concealer shade, if you place a little bit of a slightly darker concealer, whether it is like the same color as your skin tone, or maybe it's a shade darker, I wouldn't go much darker than that. That's going to help push that area back. And then you can kind of address the other areas of the eye, like for instance, like just in that inner corner area and just in that little divot that really kind of like gets pushed back underneath that eye bag, which really like emphasizes the top part of the eye bag coming forward. So in that area, you want to use a slightly lighter concealer. If you have dark circles and you also have this problem, you want to basically treat it the exact same way. You might have to do a little bit of color correcting to cancel out that darkness. But what you're doing essentially is kind of like reversing the idea of where like your lightest and your darkest concealer is going to go. I think people typically have this understanding that like closest to the under eye or closest to the inner corner is where like your brightest concealer is going to go. That isn't necessarily the case in this instance. And you also want to use very, very tiny amounts, okay? So don't go slathering this all underneath your eye. You wanna make sure that you're being extremely strategic. So just a teeny little dot of a slightly lighter concealer in that inner corner, a teeny little dot of a slightly darker concealer right in the center of that eye bag where you really see that highlight. And if you squint it, you can really see it. And then a teeny little bit of a slightly lighter concealer in the little area that sort of like divots underneath that eye bag. If you're strategic with the lights and darks, with the values, the slightly different values of concealer, you're sort of manipulating the shape. If you like look at a sphere, Like if you've ever drawn a sphere, you know, like when you're doodling in school, you make the sides a little bit darker, right? And then they slightly get lighter and lighter towards the center. And then you have that like center highlight, and that really makes it come forward, right? That's what's giving shape to it. So what you're doing is you're basically balancing out those lights and darks to try and create the illusion that they're on the same plane, which is going to help to kind of like push that more puffy area back in space and bring those slightly more sunken areas forward in space. I am not a skincare person, okay? I'm not a dermatologist, I'm not an esthetician, but I would just like to say that if you do struggle with puffy under eyes, a product that I've really been liking, now I don't get puffy under eyes, but I do have darkness, is this Revitalift L'Oreal hyaluronic acid and caffeine under eye serum. One of the things that I really like about it, caffeine is supposed to just kind of like help promote like, you know, blood flow. Basically, the hyaluronic acid is very hydrating. I like this because it has like actually a really nice lightweight hydration, and it creates like a little bit of a grip if you struggle with your concealer staying in place. And it has these tiny little, I can't open it. It has these little like metal balls, okay, like ball bearings up in here. You see these? That just kind of like glide over the under eye. And if you deal with puffiness and you just need to kind of like reduce inflammation, like if you wake up in the morning and you're just like, I'm fluffy right now, then this can be really helpful if you know, are going into an office, or you gotta have to be somewhere early, okay? And these like little ball bearings just stay like nice and cool, and they can help to really cool down that area. So I would suggest checking this out. It's L'Oreal. It's quite nice. I like it a lot. I don't get puffiness, and I don't even really care too much about the ball bearings because I don't necessarily need that, but I do like the serum actually. So I just wanted to mention that product. There isn't going to be a magic under eye serum, eye cream. There isn't even going to be a magic concealer. Short of surgery, you're not going to be able to do that much. Like, we have to be realistic about our anatomy. And if you're not trying to get surgery, then like there are incredible little things that you can do with your concealer, with your makeup, to make little corrections here and there and create a little bit more balance. But we need to be realistic, okay? Nothing out there is going to give you that like perfect, flawless, smooth under eye. Trust me, I've tried. I was gonna say everything. I haven't tried everything, but I did get under eye filler and it was a mistake, okay? Actually, speaking of L'Oreal, I did want to, let me grab it, hold on. This is a product that has been like talked about quite a bit. This is also from L'Oreal. There are a few other ones, I think like, was it Peter Thomas Roth had one? This is the Eye Bag Instant Eraser. So basically like, okay, the directions say to apply half pea-sized amount per under eye onto a clean dry finger with light pressure. Glide evenly from the inner to the outer corner of the under eye 2 to 3 times. Do not tap. Do not rub. Important, wait 15 minutes and avoid making any facial expressions until the product fully dries. Now, the product itself does not say this. The box said that this can be applied over skincare or over makeup. I personally am not a fan of these products. Not a fan of these products. They are basically creating like this weird film on the skin, and it just looks terrible. Like it just pills. It's really hard to apply. You definitely can't apply it over skincare. Like you have to apply it on clean, dry skin. And I'm a person who wants to prioritize your skincare, okay? Prioritize your skincare, because that's the stuff that's going to build up over time to actually like take care of your skin. This is just like such a temporary thing, and even if it works for you, it's just, I just don't think it's worth it. So if you have been curious and you've seen these like amazing videos online of like people putting on like one swipe of a product and it creates the most flawless under eye, I don't believe it. I don't believe it, all right? And I wouldn't recommend it. So yes, no, okay? I hope that was helpful. I often get a lot of comments from people. I feel like a puffy under eye, eye bags tend to kind of like coincide with a hooded eye. I feel like I get comments from a lot of people who are dealing with both, and it can be so disheartening when you're just like, I don't feel like my anatomy is suited for these like typical makeup tutorials. So just remember that like you shouldn't be fighting your anatomy. You have to work with what you have. And there are little things that you can do here and there, and makeup really is magic, but it's not magic. You know what I mean? Like, it's not magic. So I hope that was helpful. Please let me know in the comments down below if there are any other structural things that you've been dealing with your face that you need help with, that you want explaining about. Or if you just want an updated like dark circle, under eye concealing video. I'm happy to do that. Subscribe and stuff or whatever. And I'm gonna go. Bye.